right, so here we are for the November Parks and Rec meeting. We're going to call it to order. So, Rebecca said she'll be joining in a minute, sorry. So if we want to approve the agenda, I don't think I need to read it, but if someone would like to make a motion to approve the agenda,
I'll make a motion.
A second.
okay. Any discussion? No, okay, accept the agenda. All right, so for old business, I have under the category of fundraising, we have the VOREC grant. So what I wanted to just high level talk about with the VOREC grant was the process that we're going to need to undertake in order to sort of meet the deadline. And what I would propose, how I would propose we would move forward. So, so this is, the town applied for the grant. Obviously, the Parks and Rec Committee is just a component of this project. So what we proposed was that for the grant, there would be like a project team with Rebecca, Tim, and then me and Brian as the chair and vice chair of Parks and Rec. But we would like to, I think the best approach is to assign different tasks like to Parks and Rec, which I sent by email. I think the other day, I might have sent it by email. I'm not positive, but
The Borac information or something?
some VOREC information.
Yeah,
Yep.
I saw that, yeah.
So I put together, and I can send it to you, a summary of what's needed for the application itself. I've been involved in some grant writing. I've probably been involved in like 10 grants in my life. And this is probably like one of the top 2 most complicated
That's for
complex grant applications. So just a very high level, they need project information. There's an eligibility checklist. There's a project narrative that's required. Project readiness and guidance materials, a project work plan, a project review sheet, a project budget, letters of support, project maps, landowner permissions, certificates of good standing, a Vermont State Risk Questionnaire, insurance requirements. And that's about it. That's all.
Oh, that's nothing.
So what I was hoping, not today, but what I was hoping is that the Parks and Rec Committee could work on the, let me see, I got the pages twisted up here. The project work plan and the project budget. And there are still some moving parts with this. So what I would suggest, it's not anything that we can accomplish like at a regular Parks and Rec meeting, that we schedule 1 or 2 work sessions or work planning meetings that kind of talk about what's needed. You know, the application is due November 29th. So
It's rapidly approaching.
it's rapidly approaching. So I would suggest like 2 90-minute meetings to talk about these things. Saturdays work best for me, but I don't know for everybody. I know, Peter, you have a challenge of farmer's market, but I'm not sure if it's done or not.
No, it's not, but I can see if I can work around it.
Okay. So, so Saturdays, is there a time that works for anyone better than another time, or?
No, but I do have a conflict for the Saturday, the 14th. My
Okay.
son's moving. I gotta go up and help him move.
Okay. Well, maybe we could do like maybe a Saturday and like an alternating Tuesday or something.
Yeah.
Something like that, because this time does work. But I didn't want to bog down this meeting with all of the details related to the VOREC grant, other than to say it's a very comprehensive application process. And so it will take some work planning. And Rebecca and Tim will also, they will handle certain areas of the grant as well, like with narratives, and Tim can do a lot with the insurance information and the risk assessment, and there's some permitting items, as well. So it's a team effort, but I thought Parks and Rec would be best suited to handle those two items.
As far as the application, I saw that they're asking for a project manager name. So would that come from the town then, or would that be somebody from the Parks and Rec? How do we see that?
I don't know who the official manager will be. I presume it would be a town person, but we can talk about that too.
Question for them, yeah.
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 I have a list of questions. Because some of the stuff I'm not familiar with, or I'd like to have clarification on it as well. So,
Okay.
all right. So the next item is the Better Places Grant. And so I don't think there's any update on this item because that application is not available, and I think until December. And as far as my recollection is that grant is not due until mid-January or late January. So we will just keep this as an item for next month. For the year-end mailing, I looked into that as for fundraising purposes, and it's turning out to be more money than I thought.
The cost of a mailing?
The cost, well, it's like you get these cards and they're pre-printed with the postage on it, and then you deliver them all to the post office. I think it's kind of a similar thing with what happens with the town report or something. I don't know. But there's a bundled service you buy that it's everything all together, but it's it was in the $300 plus range just to print, printing and mailing. So I don't think that's a feasible thing for us this year, but we can look into other types of things. The next item is Peter's item. Peter participated in the AARP webinars last week.
Yes, I did. Placemaking. And you'll have to pardon me, my head's full of boogers, and synapses don't work well connecting. Interesting process. It was 2 days off and on of online meetings, and it was frustrating in that I'm sort of the guy that likes to let's get to the point here. But the terms that everybody's using are placemaking, inclusive. How does this fit in with your this, that, and the other thing? I can't even describe how what obtuse all this stuff is. And the application is the same way, but anyway, my idea here before we get into the application process is Margaret Cody down on North Pownal Road is working on a proposal for the town office excuse me, to create landscaping that attracts pollinators, bees.
Pollinators, yeah.
Thank you.
Pollinating various and sundry sorts of bees. And there's no budget for that at all. It looks like it's going to be mostly volunteer effort, and that's cool. And my idea on this was to incorporate birds into this so that we could have a place made for the birds and the bees.
He's been waiting to say that. He's been waiting to say that.
I mean, what better place than an 1812 schoolhouse to teach kids how to dump
Right.
birds and the bees?
Sure.
So, it would be a matter of creating living places and feeding places and bathing places for birds around the town office. It's, of course, you've been by it. It's completely bare and busted up at this point with no sense of landscaping. But we've got the apple tree, and then we've got our tree down below. that we can get this thing started in the wintertime, and then in the springtime, see if we can get a few dozen bluebird boxes, other bird houses, wildflowers, Vermont plants, stuff from people's backyards that they would donate. We could have a plant swap, plant sale. And so anyway, that's where I'm at in terms of incorporating what Margaret is up to, and what we could be up to with an AARP placemaking grant.
Okay.
The application is due on the 11th, and we have to get select board approval prior to that. And we also have to get a letter of support from the select board. Just like the VORAC thing, there's not a lot of time to get all this stuff done. I can certainly work on a draft. I don't know how I'm going to fill 300 words in 6 categories with this, but I'll give it a shot. And Rebecca said if I could get her a draft, that she'd work on it.
Yeah, I can definitely help too with the narrative portions and.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So I just want to ask, so this will comport to their requirements for winter placemaking?
Oh, I'll make sure it does.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it's because it's a more of a spring summer thing, if it would qualify.
No, which they didn't cover much in the sessions ahead of time, but in the application, they're very clear about this being a demonstration project.
Okay.
So, we can start in the winter time.
Right. Okay.
I'll put up some bird feeders, and with the rest of it, following in the spring, as a use this as a jumping off point.
Okay.
So I'll work on that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Is everybody?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I like it.
Yeah. Okay. I found out that the select board meeting, I just found out, like literally in the last hour and a half, the select board meeting got moved back a week because of Thanksgiving. So Megan, is that right?
Yes.
They got moved back. So we thought they were on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays, but this month they're on the 1st and 3rd Thursdays. So we'll need to get that. We'll need to seek their approval at this Thursday's meeting, which I can work with Rebecca and Tim to make sure it's presented on the agenda. And as long as we have their. Hello?
Hi, it's Rebecca.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I'm listening to everyone.
Okay.
I just want to say that I want to ask Megan. Megan, did you warn it yet?
Yes.
Okay, so it's already warned. So here's the problem. Here's the problem. You cannot. It's a special meeting because it's not on the regular Thursday. So you cannot add something to a new agenda.
Okay.
Like on a special meeting. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's the best way. Megan, is there any way that you can add it, the agenda, and like just change it on the website and flip them at the stores? Or when did you
And
drop
rewarn
them
the
off?
whole thing? Yeah. I actually still have time to do it, and it's well within time. It's still 2 days away.
Okay, so if we want to get approval on that, going ahead with that, like we wanted to make sure we do everything with our, the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and we really need to add that agenda to Thursday because it's a special meeting, not a regular. And because it's a special meeting, Megan, you do have until tomorrow night to do it.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
When we scheduled this meeting, it was based on the schedule that the select board meeting was next week. So we thought we had a week, but I just found out that it was Thursday from my son. So anyway, okay. If we can do that, that'd be great. All right.
When was that application due?
It says the 11th, but they copied last year's. It's actually due the 12th. They just have the wrong number. It's actually due Friday the 12th. Okay, next item is trunk or treat recap, which actually Brian Harris can chime in because he was a very active participant.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Colby Harwood at 346 Field said they had over 200 kids show up down there, and they only had 10 cars set up. We had over 20 cars set up at the elementary school. Officer Morin brought over 1,000 pieces of candy and handed all of it out. He ran out.
Wow.
That doesn't mean we had 1,000 kids, because at first we didn't think we were going to have a large turnout, so kids were getting handfuls.
Yeah, right, of course.
My wife and I brought 400 pieces, and we handed out all of it, and then had to acquire bags of chips from PTG so we could have more stuff to hand out. It was an awesome turnout. We are going to do it again. All the teachers that helped set up, parents that were there, like everybody is enthusiastic. Like, we want to make this a tradition. And as somebody said, you need to give Cleveland Ave a run for their money.
Where's Cleveland Ave?
In Shaftesbury.
Oh,
they have
okay.
thousands of kids show up.
Oh, wow.
You literally have 20-minute waits in line to get to houses up there.
Wow. That's great. No,
It's fantastic. Like, we're already planning stuff for next year.
Wow.
Awesome.
It's really good. I was at Faith Church, and Brian was at Faith Church, and my husband said, "Why'd you buy so much candy?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm optimistic." So anyway, I will say that we used all our candy, and I had about 300 pieces of candy, and I literally had like 8 pieces left, at the end.
Yeah.
So
we ran out about halfway before the end of it, so we had to leave because we didn't have.
So
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, we almost had to run to Dollar General to get more.
So no, it sounded like it was a great community building experience.
It was fantastic. We had people from Hoosick Falls, from Williamstown. Wow. We had some families from North Adams come up. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a fantastic turnout.
Good. And like within 15 minutes, like the rain departed. So
it was perfect. I mean, we had to set up in the rain for PTG, but like we no sooner got done setting up the easy ups and the rain stopped.
Yeah.
And they held off until everybody was packed up and had gone home.
Yeah.
It was we were blessed.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I liked that we were able, like, as Parks and Rec, just kind of to facilitate and help, organize and work with, your wife, PTG, and, with Laura at the ball fields. And I think it's just great when different community stakeholders and programs can come together, for the benefit of kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
was a great.
Yeah, we definitely want to try to put more effort into it and like make it we've already kicked around some ideas, like trying to use the bus that's sitting at the school over there and doing a haunted school bus.
Oh, nice.
So one of the ideas was to have each class work on making a scary dummy to sit in one of the seats in the bus. So you go in the front door, through the bus, and out the back.
Boy.
And then you get your piece of candy when you exit the bus. So like some of the ideas that we were already kicking around, and like we're super excited about this.
It's a success when they're talking about next year already. Right?
Yeah.
So
As Colby already put it, like he's like, that was the first annual and not the last.
Oh, that's great.
Like, yeah, it
Really?
was super exciting.
Really great news. Good. Okay, the next item is the skating rink. So Peter.
So Brian,
Yes, that's my, wait, which one?
I talked to Brian. And Brian said he talked to his people at Pownal Youth Sports.
Yep.
And as I recall, it was a go. Just needed to find a level spot.
Yep. So we've got 2 areas that we think would fit. One is actually right on our running track between first and second. Being that's an area we don't care if it kills grass, we would actually prefer it. We're thinking right in through there. Our only concerns are going to come down to drainage when it goes to get drained, but honestly, I'm not too worried about that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're a go for it. We got people donating ice skates. We've got like 5 pairs down there.
Wow.
We have I've had kids asking if we're going to try to do ice hockey down there. So
Wow.
maybe not this year, but
Yeah.
we might be trying to, Pownal Youth Sports might be trying to do ice hockey down there
Wow.
if we can keep this going.
Good.
Never even gave that a thought. What a great idea.
So I'm thinking maybe at least broom ball this year, some impromptu broom ball games.
And what's nice there too is that you have the concession. So if you wanted to sell hot cocoa or.
Well, we've already shut the power off.
Oh, okay.
So the only problem with trying to do concession in the middle of summer or middle of winter is everything freezes and we don't have running water down
okay.
there.
I got
so
it.
we do porta potties and a pump hand washing station. Obviously we can't do either one of those in the winter.
Right. Okay.
Did we have porta potties for the ice rink?
We did.
Did you guys have porta potties?
Yeah. Just one.
Well, Pownal Youth Sports or Youth Baseball, we spent $200 a month from April right up and through October to keep a hand washing station and porta potty down there. So that was a big expense for us. I mean,
Okay.
it's something we have to do.
Right.
So
Right.
we've discussed other options, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep. Okay. So we're all good that the skating rink is going to move from Center Street Park down to 346 ball field.
Correct.
And I'll let Peter and Brian and maybe Rebecca can give some insight into, I don't know where everything is stored that we had last year.
My understanding is it's at the warehouse, isn't it?
Okay, the warehouse.
At the
okay.
warehouse, yeah.
Okay.
Joel knows all that
All
stuff.
right, so we'll work on coordinating that whenever
Yeah.
you're ready for that. And I think there might be skates down here too that we can,
And
I remember
have
you guys said you had some skates.
Yeah, we do.
okay, sounds good.
There is a box of skates, just so you know, my personal skates are in there, so I do want I do want them back. But I think isn't there? I also had a couple other people. I'll search my emails that were also like missed it, but they were going to donate. They were going to maybe go out and buy a few new pairs as well. So I'll
I have some of those.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, the next item is finances / budget, but I moved the budget down to new business. But finances, we haven't spent any money in the last month because the porta potty is now, it's still there, I believe, but it's being paid for by the town construction on the town hall.
Oh, they just took it over.
Right,
for
right.
their use.
Yeah. So, so we haven't spent any money. So I think we still have about $500 left. Which actually brings us into new business, which is remaining Spark grant monies. So talking about the skating rink, from last year's Spark grant, Tim, sent me a note that I think there's $63 left and it has to be spent before the end of the year. So I'm thinking we should try to purchase something for the,
That's a pair of ice skates right there.
okay. All right.
Or a couple of goals.
Yeah, or something. We just need to keep it in our mind. We need to keep it in our mind. We have to spend it by December 31st, which I don't think is a problem.
No, $65 you spend that, no problem.
Yeah.
Cup of coffee.
Okay. And then the final item on the agenda is the draft expense budget, which I did send by email, but I sent everyone a copy here. We've talked about seeking some budget monies for fiscal year 22. And this is just me throwing down a couple of items. This is no means set in stone, but I just thought to start putting something down for Center Street Park, the restrooms, some permanent trash receptacles, and some miscellaneous recreation equipment. Also some potential events, like I know we're gonna think about what to do for the town picnic, but town picnic or some other event. So just wanted everyone to start thinking about that. And
So is the intent this would be in a yearly budget item then? The goal, right? That would be the goal to have this a yearly budget item?
yeah, so that we're not in perpetual fundraising mode.
Right, yeah. So then the yearly budget would really be the restrooms and the events, right? And the trash and receptacles and recreation equipment are just one time,
Well,
1 year.
I think some recreation equipment is going to have to get refreshed. annually or biannually.
Yeah,
'Cause it might,
stuff's gonna wear out.
or disappear, or,
True, yeah.
get left out and get ruined, or, something like that. So I think the only thing that's really like a one-time purchase are the trash receptacles. But if you can think of anything else that should be included, I'm gonna, keep this as a budget item for next month. And we can revisit it. We can revisit it then.
When do we have to put it in front of the board?
I don't know, Rebecca, when do you know?
I'm here. I just unmuted myself. So what I really am going to suggest for you to do, Jennifer, is to sit down with Tim, because he's going to be orchestrating all of the budgeting.
Okay.
And I also I'm trying to think of how to speak about this. So I'd like to, maybe I can sit down with you and Tim, or you can go and talk to Tim, or I can talk to Tim after you speak to him. But the way we're going to need to present this, because we are essentially creating new budget lines, and I'm going to give you a heads up, there will be some pushback and there will be some controversy around that. I mean, I would love to hope that there's none, but I think there will be at least some small amount. So we just really need to talk about how we're going to talk about that, present it to the board. And also, if for some reason we find an unfriendly board who will not put it into their budget, then we need to, I think, get in front of it and start crafting a ballot article. Okay? So that's the reality of what we're facing. And however, I do believe that you have a majority of the board. I believe you have a majority of the board who would love to give the Parks and Rec Department a budget, especially the amount of work that this committee has done, the amount of positive change and people coming into town. I mean, I think that Parks and Rec can very quantitatively point to a lot of accomplishments of bringing potential also economic development to Pownal. So that's my little, I totally support it. I'm going to help that conversation happen, but that is what we're looking at. Okay.
Sure. I appreciate your guidance, because I don't know the process at all. So
Well, what the best case scenario is that we convince this board to give us a budget line next year.
Mhm.
And the history of Parks and Rec is we said we weren't going to ask for money. That's how we started it. And so, but that's very clear, at least at first, we didn't ask for money. We did a lot of fundraising. We got grants. And the thing is that we've proven that the things that we have worked on actually come to fruition, and they're effective. So I think that we're totally within I think it's good for us to ask for a budget line. It would be easiest if they just give it to us. If not, if for some reason we meet resistance, we craft a ballot article and get that on the ballot, because I cannot see it getting rejected by the time.
Okay.
I can't.
Yeah, I had a couple of conversations at the town picnic with a couple of members of the board, and one fully in favor and one a little bit skeptical, but still open to a good presentation. And
Yeah, I think we need to present it couched in. Look at what we have accomplished. This is what it has brought to our town. Look at, we're working on the Borat grant now. We're looking at really all of these things tied together, working together with the churches and Pownal Youth Baseball, all of that, I will help with that piece for sure.
I think it's compelling. So I'm willing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next meeting date and time. So I think we talked about, we can maybe by email come up with a good time, but potentially a Saturday meeting and another Tuesday meeting to work on the VORIC grant. But those would just be work sessions. Those are not like Parks and Rec meetings. So the next regular Parks and Rec meeting, if we look to December, let's see. So we'd be looking at December 7th or 14th. So what is folks' preference?
7th?
7th? Okay. And
Yeah, earlier the better, I think.
does 5:30 work for everybody? I only pushed it back a little bit because the planning commission's at 7. So I didn't want to bump into people coming in the office.
I can make 5:30 work.
Okay.
That gives me enough time to get here from work.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian. All right. Is there any public comment?
Nope.
No
Nothing else
pub,
in here.
no public comment. So if I could have a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion.
second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? The meeting is concluded. Thank you, Peter and Rebecca.
Sure
Good night,
thing.
guys.